Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alfiah Amaliyah. I am from the Department of Pharmacy, Muhammadiyah University of Yogyakarta, batch 2019. Today, I would like to present to you a small research which conducted by me under the title Pharmacy Student Perception on COVID-19 Vaccine. On this good occasion, I would like to present 5 points from my presentation. The first one is introduction, the second is methodology, the third is the result, the fourth is discussion, and the fifth is conclusion and suggestion. Ladies and gentlemen, the first point will be the introduction or the background of why I conducted this study. As we know well, vaccination is one of the most effective ways to deal with infectious disease, including ongoing pandemics, or as we know as COVID-19. So, health workers and health students have significant roles to increase vaccine acceptance in society by spreading the right news or the right informations about the effectiveness, about the safety of vaccination, and as well as encouraging people to get vaccinated in order to improve their personal immunity. Actually, there are several studies which have been conducted in order to evaluate the perception of health workers and health students in general about vaccination, but there is no specific study yet which conducted in order to evaluate or to assess the perception of pharmacy students regarding vaccination, especially COVID-19 vaccine. So, based on those background, I finally choose this topic because pharmacy students as future health workers have important role in order to increase realization of the society towards vaccination, and finally by that realization we able to build a better immunity, as well a better health herd immunity, and also a better public health quality. Ladies and gentlemen, the methodology of this study is quantitative method, which involve questionnaires that consists by 14 questions which developed from WHO Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization and WHO documents of COVID-19 vaccine acceptance survey in Indonesia held in 2012. And the participants or the eligible participants in this study was pharmacy students from the batch of 2019 in Muhammadiyah University of Yogyakarta. Why do I choose a pharmacy student from the batch of 2019? Because currently they are in the fourth semester and they have just received the the topic of immunology and vaccination from the 10 block, and the number of participants that involved was 21 students. So moving on to the result, on the number one, we're able to identify that there are 76.2% of students who believe that vaccine can protect them from severe infectious disease. Meanwhile, there are 23.8% of students who do not believe that vaccination able to protect them from severe infectious disease. And on the table which provided here, we are able to know what are the reasons of them to believe and to not believe on vaccination. So most of the students believe that vaccination able to protect them from infectious disease because vaccine has ability to increase their immunity. And then we able we also able to evaluate the reason of why students do not believe. So students who do not believe in vaccination mostly because there are evidences in news which they watch or they read, thus shown the negative effects or the side effects, and as well as the ineffectiveness of vaccination. And there are three other reasons as well that you might read on the PowerPoint. And moving on to the third questions, here we're able to know that most of the students also consider vaccination as one of the effective ways to build herd immunity in current outbreaks. There are 71 14% of them who believe that, and there are 26.60% of them who do not believe. And most of the reason of why they choose to believe that vaccination able to build herd immunity because they admit that vaccination able to improve their personal immunity, and thus it will influence other people around them. So, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the fifth questions. Here we're able to identify a pie chart which shows that there are 81% of students who shows their willingness to accept the vaccination provided by the government of Indonesia for them as well as for for their family members. And for those who refuse to get vaccinated, there are 19% of students, and their reasons can be shows in these bar charts over here, uh, where most of them have hesitation towards the safety as well as the effectiveness of the vaccination, and there are also fear of the side effects. And one of the respondents also stated that they have he or she has specific diseases which prevents them to get vaccinated. And ladies and gentlemen, if we look at the chart on the number 7 and on the number 8 from the questionnaires, we're able to know that there are 85% of the students who believe that safety of vaccine determines by the long period of trial phase. Even though they believe so, they also stated on the number 8 that development of technology and science nowadays able to make it possible for the pharmaceutical industries to produce vaccine in shorter time. So, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the point number 9, we're able to identify that most of the students approve that vaccination which have been legalized by specific institutions such as BPOM, FDA, and MUI or MUE are totally safe. And on the number 10, we know that most of the students considered approval from religious institutions such as MUE as one of the important factor to determine the safety of vaccination. So, based on from the number 8 until 10, we're able to know that there are various opinions from the students regarding parameters which can be determined to know that the vaccine is safe or not. It varies from the trial phase, from the development of technology, and also it's affected by approval from MUE or BPOM or FDA, and they also involve like religious institution approval in it. Ladies and gentlemen, so based on the result we have gained before, we're able to underline several points on the discussion. The first one is most students have positive perception towards vaccination and COVID-19 vaccine. It shows by the majority of them who believe that vaccination able to prevent them to get infected by several contagious diseases, and also they believe that vaccination will able to increase the herd immunity, and it also shows by the by students willingness to get vaccinated. And it also, and despite that facts, there are also several of the students who have vaccine hesitancy, and most of the reason is fear of adverse effect and unsafety as well as ineffectiveness. And the next point is various point of views regarding safety of vaccination. So there are various opinions from students regarding the safety of vaccination. Most students believe that it determined by the long trial phase, but they also most of them also believe that in advanced science and technology development nowadays, there is probability of pharmaceutical industries to create or to produce vaccine in a shorter time. And they also admit that the safety of vaccination um, determined by the legalization from several institutions such as BPOM, FDA, and MUE. And most of the students also believe that religious institutions such as MUE uh, if have like important roles in determine the safety, maybe in this case the halal and haram of the vaccination. So, ladies and gentlemen, as the conclusion, we're able to know that most of the pharmacy students that involve themselves in this study tend to have positive perception towards COVID-19 vaccination. And the second, most of them obtain knowledges regarding COVID-19 from social medias followed by from lecturer in the university. And the third, student also suggested that there are several ways to deal with ongoing outbreaks instead of vaccination, and most of them suggest the implementation of healthy life. And finally, the last but not least, the assessment of students' perception toward vaccination needs to be done in order to determine their readiness. In this case, as health workers or as future pharmacists, as future health workers or as future pharmacists to deal with ongoing outbreaks or future outbreaks. Also, by this, we're able to evaluate the lessons of immunology and vaccination and maybe public health or other subjects that relate to vaccination which have given to them. So maybe that's all for me. Thank you very much for the attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.